Top lane, in my opinion, is about applying pressure on your own, being left on an island, and also being comfortable with taking some pressure as well off of your teammates. I think it's a lane that is really good for applying split pressure and also knowing how to mess with the enemy team to have them try to react to you when you're split away from the rest of your team. I think what characterizes a great top laner is a player that pressures the map really hard as much as possible, but does not give any free kills. A player that is always doing his own thing and forcing the enemy team to react to him away from the rest of his team. That's what top lane is about. A really important thing about a top laner is having diversity in your champion pool, because you would have to create pressure on the games, and there's a ton of champions in the game that each do their own different things. So having different strategies comes from having different champions as well. So even if you main a champion and you play it to perfection, there are some games where that champion will just not be a good pick and you would not get much of an impact from that champion specifically. So there comes the importance of creating a good champion pool that counters whatever champions you see in your ELO, whatever you're playing at. Always make sure that those champions are successful in different scenarios. They counter different team comps or they counter different lanes, whatever it is. Just make sure that you have some diversity in your champions of choice. So in late game situations, a way that you can win games is by having smart usage of teleport. And that would rely your teammates in getting proper rewards out in the map. But depending on your type of champions that you play, you can show up, say, in the bot lane, late game, while your team is doing something else. And so the enemy team wouldn't expect you to teleport to a ward that is behind them, allowing you to get a good flank. It could be a really good way to start a team fight. So later on into the game, you need to start thinking about how you're gonna be making use of your split pressure or your teleport usage. You need to figure out a way that you're gonna be catching the team off guard or trying to make a play, either with the teleport flank or by split pushing. You need to figure out ways to make a play to win the game. So for top lane, you're most of the time left on an island. If you compare it to mid and bot lane, with bot lane you have a buddy that helps you out. Mid lane, it is a shorter lane, so it is harder for jungle to apply pressure, but top lane is a very long lane that you're left on your own. So I think your biggest concern should be to not give up any kills to the enemy jungler. Unless your jungler is around the area, you should always be cautious of the possibility of getting ganked, as you can be put out of the game completely by smart jungle pressure from the enemy team. So for top lane, wave management and wave control is one of the most important things. Making sure that you're not pushing too much or that you're not getting pushed in too much is really important, as to have the wave at a relatively safe spot for you to be able to farm and trade efficiently. That's one of the most important things to master for the top lane, so you are not in a vulnerable spot to get pressured by the enemy jungle. For tips for wave management would be to keep a good eye on the enemy minions and your own minions, and just making sure that the wave is never pushed in too far, whereas you would have to walk up too deep into the lane to last hit. If the wave's set up in a way that you would have to walk up really deep to go for a last hit, you can easily get ganked. So make sure you're not trading too aggressively and using your abilities on the minions to push it too much. And yeah, also if the enemy champion is hitting the minions a lot to push you in, you should try to match it as much as possible, so it's not making it push to your turret too quickly.